Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about the Boston housing market. Let's check in on how it's doing and where it's going. The Boston housing market has had a crazy last 16 months. Sales are up and rentals are down. So what's going on? In this video, I'm going to break down the current state of the Boston housing sales and rental markets. I'll break down the latest data for May of 2021 and when will you be able to afford a house in Boston? And is the Boston rental market dead? Stay tuned as I break all of that down in this video. The Boston housing market has hit new records in the month of May. It is increasingly more expensive to live in Boston. The country's average home sales price is about $338,000 compared to Boston's $557,000 price tag. So if you couldn't afford to live in Boston prior to 2020, then it's going to be even more difficult to buy a property in Boston in this market. And it's only getting more expensive. The median housing price in Boston rose for 9 consecutive months according to the Greater Boston Association Realtors report. And there has been strong demand from millennials who are at their peak house buying ages, as well as people looking for more space as they move outside of Boston or outside of downtown. And due to the economy opening back up and things getting back to normal, as well as rising vaccination rates, the month of May has seen an increase due to that. That is just another factor affecting home prices in May. So how much have home prices risen in Boston? Well, single-family home prices have risen by nearly 30% from a year ago. And this has made it the 10th most active May in the greater Boston area. Now, condos, as you might imagine, have risen by even more, a staggering 123% year-over-year increase. And this is because condos are much cheaper than buying a single-family home, especially in Boston. So these are the more affordable option for people that are looking to buy on a budget. And in this kind of housing market, people are looking for a deal or at least looking for a price within their budget. And tying this all together, why housing prices are so high, especially in Boston, is due to inventory still being an issue. Inventory for housing in Boston has only about a 2-month supply for the 3rd month in a row. And that is another contributing factor to rising home prices. Typically, when there's 6 months or less of inventory on the market, that means it's a seller's market. So we are definitely in a hot seller's market with only 2 months of inventory. Single-family homes have seen a 41% decrease in inventory in the last year, as well as single-family homes seeing a 15% decrease in inventory just since April of this year. But condos saw an increase by 2.3%, so you can see why condo prices are going up so much and why demand is so strong for condos. So if you've been looking to buy in Boston and you can't find anything you can afford, you might be turning to the rental market instead for short term. So let's check in on how the rental market has gone. During the beginning of the pandemic, Boston saw a huge decrease in renters. This is partially because Boston is a huge college town, and when colleges went fully remote from last year and even going into this year, people started moving back with their parents or just moving away from the city to get cheaper housing. And when you combine that with working professionals working remotely permanently in a lot of cases, that has also led to a contributing factor on why rentals have decreased. So let's take a look at the numbers. In 2020, the vacancy rate in Boston was about 1%. Fast forward to 2021, the vacancy has spiked to 5.5% in Boston. Downtown Boston in specific has seen a 2,800% vacancy rate increase since last year. This is from 0.86% all the way up to 25%. But despite the huge increase in inventory, this has not really affected rental prices in most situations. As of early 2021, the average studio price dropped 6% down to $1,714 per month. The average one bedroom dropped by 7% to $2,041 per month. And the 2-bedroom only dropped by about 3% down to $2,520 per month. And now looking at 3 bedrooms, they dropped the least, which was only down 1.1% to $3,045 each month. And then going all the way up to the largest, a 4-bedroom, dropped by 2% to $3,654 per month. So you can see that rental prices haven't really dropped as much as inventory has increased. The largest decrease was in studio apartments and 1-bedrooms, which were mostly like students or young working professionals who have moved out of the city. But I'm sure if you live in Boston or you keep tabs on the Boston rental market, you've seen headlines saying that the rental market has dropped by 10, 15, or 20%. But that's actually not true at all. Those numbers reported are to very limited neighborhoods of Boston. For example, downtown has seen one of the biggest vacancy rates, so they've seen the most inventory and they've also had the highest price decreases. But as a whole, the rental market in Boston has only seen about a 5% decrease in prices. And in fact, some markets in Boston have seen an increase in rent, such as Mattapan, which saw a 13% increase in renting prices. So with all of that being said, what is the final line? What is the conclusion with the housing market and the rental market in Boston? Well, the housing market is expected to slow down in the second half of this year, and housing prices are expected to start going back to normal increases, which is closer to 5% compared to what we've been at of 13 to 15 or 20%. We are beginning to see homes that are overpriced remain on the market longer than they had in the last year. So this is more of an indication that there's a little bit less demand now and people are kind of cooling down and taking a step back on buying houses right now. However, the housing market is still going strong and there's still going to be an increase in housing prices for the foreseeable future. And then when we come to the rental market, as I laid out the numbers, you can see that the rental market hasn't suffered as much as you would have expected. So the rental market is expected to remain strong and get back to normal over the next year or two. And we're even expecting rental prices to increase from where they were prior to the pandemic by 2022. So that's kind of where the market stands for Boston. This is very true for the rest of the country as well in most cases. So we're seeing very similar trends in the big cities as well as the smaller cities. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope this information has helped you decide on what you want to do in the housing market today in Boston. And if you're interested in any other numbers for the housing market, I've made multiple videos in the past few weeks about the housing market as a whole in the United States. So take a look at those videos, and if you enjoyed this content, definitely consider liking the video, commenting your thoughts, and subscribing to my channel if you're really interested in keeping up with real estate and housing prices. I make new videos all the time, so definitely hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed this content. And with that, thank you for watching and see you next time.